What's good, Josh? Your boy Marcel P. Black. Once again, I told you I took a little break, but I'm back at it. You know what I'm saying? Um, About to have a dope conversation with one of my good friends. One of my best friends in the city of Baton Rouge. This guy has covered me consistently for at least, if not 10 years. I'm gonna say 10 years. I'm gonna say 10 years. He's been covering me for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I always tell him he don't rep enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Um, he is one of the most important hip hop journalists in the South. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Definitely one of the most decorated. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of the South, probably the goat from Louisiana as it pertains to hip hop journalism. He plays it so low key that people don't even really understand how big of a deal he is. You know what I'm saying? He has bylines um, on you know, he's a writer slash editor, you know what I'm saying? Bylines of Double XL, Hip Hop DX, Complex, High Times. He's written locally in the Baton Rouge Advocate and more, Dig Magazine. I'm sure there's several things that I'm leaving off, but his resume is very extensive. For the people out there watching, you know what I'm saying? If we was doing this at a live show, I would say everybody give it up for Mr. Justin Ivey. I call him the Juice Man. Juice. Everybody clap. Yeah. How you doing, good brother?
Hey man, it's good to be with you. I'm doing okay. How about you?
Man, I'm maintaining, bro. So before I begin my first question, you know what I'm saying, which is always the same question, I want to take at least, you know what I'm saying, this is the day that we're recording this. Unfortunately, we learned that brother Earl Simmons, aka Dark Man X, DMX, has passed away. So I'm gonna take 5 seconds, you know what I'm saying. You're not gonna see this the exact same day, but for the people, to let you know that we do care, we love DMX. Take a couple seconds, you know what I'm saying, just to in memory of. Rest in peace to the dog. All right, rest in peace to the dog. All right, you see my interviews. You already know what the first question is going to be. How did we meet?
How did we meet? Uh Man, well, I think online we met like on one of those like Dirty South what was those forums called?
Word of South?
Yeah, that was it. I think we might have crossed paths on Word of South maybe. And it but yeah, then we just connected like whatever. I guess it was Twitter maybe back then, or what was it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what
It
was
had to
going
be. It had to be. You know what's funny? But I don't look. I got a pretty good memory. I don't remember you on Word of South. What was your name of Word of South?
on. I legit don't remember.
I had a couple different names because that was, when everybody had little crazy names. I was more so black towards the end. Um, hmm. I don't remember your Word of South. I really don't.
I might have.
That's why I met. That's why I met Joe. Joe on the track. I met him on
Mhm.
Word of South. Of course, LB. I mean, I can name just these other people on artists, but there's still people who I keep in contact from Word of South to this day on Facebook and social media. But I don't remember you there.
I'm trying to remember. Like maybe I just lurked on Word of South. I don't know, but I remember that's where I discovered you. That was
Okay.
definitely the first time I saw your stuff.
I had
Um,
an epic beef. I had an epic beef with this dude named B Don. And it's funny. He still don't like me to this day. It was like a running gag to where so he was allegedly from Mall City, and I was living in Mall City at the time, and we got into it. Just for, for all the kids out there, before there was social media, there were chat rooms where all the foolishness took place. And sometimes people get into it on chat rooms, and we make you know this is about each other back and forth and whatever. So me and B Donna got into it, and I don't really do internet beef like that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Justin, I don't really do internet beef like that. So I was just having fun with it. And so he kept on saying that he was gonna come to my house because I lived in Mall City. And so, like about a month after I moved out of Mall City, I gave him my address
hmm.
to my old apartment. And he, because I was a conscious rapper, everybody said I was a Muslim, right? That was a running joke. So he allegedly came to my apartment and I ran out the window. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody was talking about the situation. It was like, what's Marcel gonna say when he lost back again? I had some epic story. It was pretty funny. But I like you're lying because I don't even live there anymore. But anyways, I'm sorry. What was you saying as far as how we met?
No, that's what. But yeah. So I don't know where. However, it was online, and then. But yeah, you were in Baton Rouge, and so it was like we eventually connected in real. And I think it was funny because I think the first time we met, like at a show or whatever, you were just like you were joking. I was like, "You're a real person," and
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I remember it was because you'd always say like I'm an outrovert. Justin is not an outrovert. Justin is he stayed to the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like being a writer freelance is perfect for your personality because you're not gonna see Justin out here in these gallivanting streets. You know what I'm saying? Like I am. So and mind you, this is almost 10 years ago. This had to be 2011, 2012. And like you were a lot younger. You know what I'm saying? Like you were early 20s at the time, whatever. So I just remember you kept on hitting me up saying you would come check my shows at Culture, but you had an avatar. Like you had like a what's that card? What's the cartoon?
it was Archer. It was Archer.
Your Archer. Yeah. So I didn't know what you look like. You know what I'm saying? And you kept on saying, I'm gonna pull up. I'm like, whatever. And then because I'm not really a Twitter guy like that. So it probably you were saying that on Twitter, but and I remember it was a Spanish Moon show. It might have been it was somebody big. It might have been like this 2013. I don't know, but I remember it was one of my rap hip hop is alive shows, and you pulled up. You was like, "Yo, I'm Justin Ivey." I'm like, "Oh, you are a real person. You ain't just a bot out here." You know what I'm saying? Just just saying that you're gonna pull up to the shows or whatever, like But hey, and we've been cool ever since, man. That was I don't know how long ago it was at this point. Everything's starting to run together. But and we just we just naturally clicked. You know what I'm saying? We linked up, he was a writer, I was a rapper. You know what I'm saying? I appreciated what he did for the culture, what he was doing for the city. At the time he was doing Kevin Nottingham.com. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. He was covering and that's probably I think that's how I really became aware of you because you was covering any and everything for Baton Rouge, and like putting us on the map and giving us like, of course, doing like the traditional street sound, but like you was following what was going on the underground hip hop side of Baton Rouge. You know what I'm saying? And so and I think that's probably why I hit you up on Twitter, like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Because I didn't know about Kevin Nottingham until I started getting posted over there. You know what I'm saying? But and we linked up and we've been cool ever since. You know what I'm saying? So how did you you interview everybody, nobody ever asked you questions. You know what I'm saying? So how did you get into hip-hop and like what was some of your earliest experiences like tangibly engaging the culture?
Well, just growing up, I know for me it was just MTV and the music video box, the one where you can like call in and and get the get them to play the video and be Rap City and stuff like that. And so that was just my introduction. And so being a Louisiana kid, it was like this was Cash Money and No Limit, height, when they're really popping. But what hooked me, and obviously anybody that knows me is like it's still to this day, was Wu-Tang. And like I'm crazy about Wu-Tang. Method Man was the guy that hooked me at first. I was just kind of like in awe of Method Man. And so like Wu-Tang was just what really got me super like, okay, I love this. Like this is not just, music. This is I want to get like all in on this. So, obviously just the years are going on and I'm getting more and more into hip hop with each progressive year. But I think, obviously, this is the days of like LimeWire and things like that. And so, you're just getting exposed to like so much stuff. And I don't know how I really like stumbled on it, but I just kind of started getting into like Zion Eye and like Dilated Peoples and just I don't know, just kind of like West Coast indie underground hip hop, and like it just kind of spoke to me, and so I started like getting more into that, and then once I got to high school, it was like it was all over. Like high school, it was going to be, I was digging in the crates, so to speak, you know, with the e crates, I guess you'd say. And just, I was like on every blog trying to like find obscure artists, and you know, looking into like the Bay Area, and you know, like why would somebody in Baton Rouge have any idea who the Jacka was? But here I was like digging into that, and
Right.
knowing all about mob figures and stuff like that. And obviously like Rhyme Sayers was big then. So you know, Atmosphere and Brother Ali were huge, like, you know, and getting into that indie side. And so yeah, I was just a fan. And you know, I didn't think, oh, I'd have a career or I'd have a life contributing to hip hop in some way. Like I just loved hip hop, and I figured I did always want to be a writer, but I was like, you know, to me, to write about hip hop, you had to go to New York, or you had to be, you know, you had to write for the Source or Double XL or what. Like that was just all I had imagined that was. So I was just like, oh, I'm gonna be a sports writer, you know, because I see that in the city of Baton Rouge, and that's something like tangible. But what really changed, like me getting involved, was going to LSU and just kind of lucking into an opportunity to be at the radio station KLSU. Matt Bruce, our friend, he was leaving Underground Sounds, and we had connected on Last FM, if you remember that site at all. And he was just like, and so he was leaving the show. I forget the reason exactly, but he was like, "Do you want to host it?" So I was like, "Wait, really? Like me?" And so yeah, I just kind of stumbled into that opportunity of hosting that show. And it was like, you know, he just knew my taste in hip hop, and he was like, yeah, you'd be the right, I mean, you would know what to play. And so that's how it started. I went there, and man, it was just like, I was hooked. It was like, oh, I could do this. Like, I could find a way to cover hip hop. I could find a way to play the stuff I like. I could find a way to do this. And so I remember, you know, Tiger Woods, if you remember that, you know, from New Orleans, they were like my first interview ever. And so, and I, you know, I had them at the station. It was hilarious. They're all packed in there. And so that was my first real interview. And it was like, oh, wow. You know, I like doing this. I like interviewing people. And so I just started wanting to do that. I was like, okay, sports writing, that was just the thing I wanted to do because it seemed logical. This is what I want to actually do now that I've, you know, experienced it. And kind of, so I'm looking around online, just trying to, you know, see where maybe there's an opportunity, you know, people looking for writers, people do this. And it was just a summer at, you know, after my first year at LSU, I was a reader of the Kevin Nottingham blog, just as a, you know, super indie hip hop fan. And it just said, we're looking for summer interns. So I immediately just pounced on it. And that was my in, and I've been off ever since.
So I want to go back to something, right? So you're 31.
Yeah.
So the thing about you is that like you were engaging, like, I mean, I'm sure everybody goes back and they do their homework, they do their knowledge, they do their due diligence. But like you were like, you know, the kids are saying you wasn't there. Like you was there, right? And so, you know, Wu-Tang came out in 93. You know what I'm saying? Or these Zion albums came out like in the late 90s when you were, you know what I'm saying, 9 to 10 years old, right? So what did your mom have to say? Like what did you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like was she supportive and you know, your mom is a optometrist, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
White lady, why is my kid listening to Zion now? Why is my kid listening to the Jackal at age 11 years old? You know what I'm saying? Like, was your parents supportive of you getting into hip hop? You know what I'm saying? You know.
Yeah, no, but I think my mom never like understood it, maybe, but it was like she's just like she knew I liked it, and so she was like, "Okay, that's cool." I remember like early on, I had to get she'd always make me get like if I got to buy a CD, we'd have to go to Walmart because they had the censored ones.
Mm.
And so like my early days are just all like censored ones. But I do remember like my one funny story on that was like we're at a Barnes and Noble, and I'm just like I'm hell bent on I got to get that Big Timers album. I got to get the Big Timers album. And so we're Barnes and Noble, so they don't have the clean one. So we get it, and it's just and I'm playing I Got That Work at Home, and it's on my little boombox or whatever I had. And she walks in, and there's everybody get your motherfucking roll on. She's like, "What are you doing?
What are you listening to?" Right.
But it was like, and so I don't know. I guess I was lucky in that, she was lenient enough to let me like wild out and watch like South Park and things like that.
Right.
And so like the cussing wasn't a big deal because it was like, I mean, at the end of the day, I was a pretty good kid. I didn't get in trouble. And so she was like, as long as I don't hear you cussing, like I'm gonna let this slide.
So I'm a Bad Boy fan, right? Of course, I love Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Puff is my guy. I always, I have my critiques of him, but I'm a Puff defender, right?
Mm.
But a lot of people don't realize is a big reason why I'm such a Bad Boy fan is because even if you bought their CDs from like, so we didn't have like, we had a local CD store called Hastings that sold like, it was an independent store. They sold everything. They actually had a pretty good CD collection. You know what I'm saying? Considering, you know what I'm saying? I could go get some pretty good underground hip hop in Southern Oklahoma in this small town, right? But I would go there and all the Bad Boy albums had the parental advisory sticker on the shrink wrap.
Mm.
So if you take the parental advisory sticker off, if you take the shrink wrap off, you don't see the sticker no more. Because the other albums I would get, I would have to go, I would buy them, I would sneak and buy them, and I would turn the CD jacket around to the backside and hoping that it wasn't nothing crazy on the inside, so my parents would see the parental advisory stickers. So another reason I became a fan of Bad Boy, because that was a record label that was one of the few record labels that did that. And so I bought everything Bad Boy came out.
Mm.
Like my parents, you know what I'm saying? I was gonna get it, take it off real quick or whatever. Like, so thanks, Puff. Covering. Okay, so another thing too about Juice, right? So Juice is definitely a backpacker. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely he's with all he got a whole duck down shirt on right now. You know what I'm saying? But he's definitely with the independent hip hop head too. But Justin is very, very, very astute on Southern hip hop as it pertains to specifically, you know what I'm saying, Louisiana, Cash Money, No Limit, Trill Entertainment, stuff that came out in Baton Rouge, but also real big on the Memphis sound, you know what I'm saying, 3-6 Mafia, things of that nature. He is a Bo Hagen defender. You know what I'm saying, that old B&B clique. Was it not? Is it Playboy Trey? Is that his name?
Playboy Trey.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He's into those guys, the Houston guys too. He is a UGK guy. You know what I'm saying? So K Reno, all the type of stuff. So it's like he goes from the Jacker and Zion 9 and Duck Down to those other guys too. So I want to ask you a question real quick. What was so being into like the underground quote unquote backpack hip hop, you know what I'm saying? What was it like? Because I wasn't here in the state at the time. What was it like when you first heard like Boosie and Max? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's very different from Method Man or even, you know what I'm saying, in the Jacker. So what was it like when you first like caught a hold of that early concentration camp era of Baton Rouge rap?
Yeah. Well, obviously, like Young Bleed was huge. It was like
correct, yeah, 100%.
I mean, that was to me, I that was my introduction. Like My Balls and My Word, like A Fool, which became How You Do That, and so like that was what was like you could hear that on the radio here in Baton Rouge, and so Young Bleed was kind of my introduction to that, and then obviously like just being a kid, like I didn't understand really like that Max Minnelli was on that. So, it was like he had it like back then his name was like connected still and on the feature list and all that. but by like, 2001, like I'm getting like more knowledgeable and knowing what's going on. And yeah, like Max was like one of the big ones that connected with me. And it was, I think what always stood out about Max was just, he sounded like an East Coast rapper to me. It was like, wait, I was like, whoa, he's like, he's got these bars, he's snapping like, and he's, the way he's flowing, it's like, so that I think just being like a Wu-Tang fan and being into like indie hip hop, it was like, there was something about Max that always connected with me like that. But yeah, obviously, like, man, it's so funny. It's like, Boosie kind of blew up in 2006, 7 maybe. But it was like Boosie was always just huge in Baton Rouge. Like, I don't know if people like outside of the city can understand it. It's like, I remember like in 7th grade, it's just like Boosie playing at these, every little thing that you would go to as a kid. It was like, it was just him and Webby. It was just everywhere that you couldn't go anywhere. I remember like my friend, when he first got his driver's license, like the first thing he wanted to do was just blare Boosie at the loudest he could and just ride. And I was like, it's 7:00 in the morning. We're on our way to school. Like, what the hell are we doing? I'm half asleep. And he's just like, no, we're bumping Boosie. And like, swerve. And like,
it's funny because I was in Oklahoma, so I heard, of course, what's the name with National, with how you do that there. And I had a guy, he was always looking for like the super duper underground regional stuff. And he told me, have you heard? He said, Boosie, do you know Lil Boosie? Like, I don't, or whatever. And I heard it. I was like, why is his voice so high? You know what I'm saying? And so I moved here in 2002, and I go to a club on Plank Road. It was Plaza Live. No, it wasn't even, I think this might be before Plaza. It was Plaza Live. It's Bella Noche now. But we go to the club, and Boosie's in there. This is North Baton Rouge. They end up throwing the foes or whatever. And there's a fight breaks out, and Boosie get his ass beat. Like he in the middle of the 4 bucket. You know what I'm saying? Just like he do on his songs, right? Bucked Up and Fucked Up, it came on. He throwing the foes, and they get packed out. When I left, Justin, the dudes who beat him up left playing Bucked Up and Fucked Up. and it wasn't like on no taunting type stuff either. It wasn't like yeah, we beat him up. No, that was just their soundtrack. They beat up the rapper that they loved the most, because you can't just, back then, the North and South Baton Rouge wars is pretty intense. You know what I'm saying? But so that's what I was like, this is a different type of love that I've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? To where like he really, like, even to this day, bro, like, as a hip hop educator, bro, I'm teaching Brother Ali, and I'm teaching, Dead Prayers and Common and stuff like that. I had to stop teaching Boosie because he's just such a terrible person in the social media era. But man, Mama, Why Your Child So Bad? Like, he has so many songs that really, really speak to the conditions of like young, poor Black Baton Rouge kids to a T. He had another song he dropped last year called Motherless Child. That is like, it's like, when I say you can break it down from like a socio-economic look at how Baton Rouge just failed young people. But after of course he's had several egregious missteps. But after the D Wade's daughter situation, that's what I was like, all right, I can't in good faith, because some of my students are, I'm saying, LGBTQ. So I just came to good faith to be, whatever. But anyways, yeah. So Boosie was that was crazy. That was definitely phenomenon. So I'm gonna come back to Baton Rouge here in a second, but I want to get to something too. So I was racking all my social media brain and fingers and trying to find this, but this is the best I could find. 2013, working for the Antidote, not the Antidote. Wow, working for KevinNottingham.com. You know what I'm saying? I look up, and my song Trap Hop is on the A3C mixtape. And you told me it was going to happen. I was like, oh, it's lit. You know what I'm saying? It's lit. Because I just got I just got the Facebook memories thing. So it happened like, 8 years ago, about maybe 2-3 days ago, right? And so that leads us to the A3C showcase. Hold up. The A3C showcase, October of 2013 in Atlanta, which I was on. Now I was trying my hardest to find the actual flyer for the actual showcase, but I can't find it. But this is what I did find, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. So you know, I'm gonna flex a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's gonna be a little flex here. You know what I'm saying? For the people at home watching, that's me right there, next to Locksmith, where I met Locksmith that night. So, you know, this night, this whole weekend was super duper epic. And this, you know, so this is when so at this time, me and Justin have probably been cool for a year and a half, 2 years. But this one we became really, really close, became really, really good friends. Him and Alfred, we went on this epic trip to Atlanta. Bruh, this is all I'm gonna say. I tried to get Alfred to talk about the Eskimos on our podcast. And he didn't want to do it. He tried like it didn't happen. We was there. We remember the Eskimos, right? Just you know, we'll just keep that between us three. You know what I'm saying? But so we go on this epic trip. We go on this epic trip to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And we have a show at 529. It's the KevinNottingham.com showcase. You know what I'm saying, for A3C. Justin put this show together. He put the show together. Now, once again, I knew you were younger than me, but enough. If you're 31 now, 8 years ago, you were 22 years old, bro. And I saw Justin get so much respect from some of the top MCs in the underground and hip hop period. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back to that night, 529. What do you remember?
Oh man, that was a hectic night for me.
Right.
So what happened is basically, obviously KevinNottingham.com had become like a pretty big blog. It was, respected. It was one, we weren't like Two Dope Boys big, but we were the place you went for like indie hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started getting those kind of opportunities where it was like, you do showcases at A3C. And so I had been there before, actually, a few years before, when they were still doing everything at the Masquerade. And man, that was an epic A3C. That was my introduction to A3C. And so, I always hold that one in like special light. But yeah, it's just, working at KN over the years, like I'd fallen into this life of like being a respected indie hip hop voice. And it was like, and it was cool because it was like, it was just my taste. Like I was not posting people because I had to hit certain things. I was just posting people I liked, the music I liked. And so it was just amazing, like connecting with people like Locksmith. It was like, man, I remember him when he was when in the front line, EA Ski was producing him. It was so just cool things like that. And yeah, so we got to 2013 and, as the years progressed, like with Kevin, like he got less and less interested. And so it was like that year he had no interest in doing a show. And I was like, no, we got to do a show. We got to have a show. And so he's like, fine, you do it. And so here I am. I'm literally, I'm in my last year of college, or I had just finished college. And so I'm sitting there, it's like, and it's just all on me. And I've never promoted a show. I've never, I'm freewheeling this and going, okay, I'm going to just hit up everybody I know that's dope and that's cool with me and just see if they'll do it. And it was amazing. It was like, just everybody was down. Like Mark Speck was down. And I mean, Locke came from California. Like I will never, like, you can never get me to say a bad word ever about Locksmith, because he helped out this 22-year-old punk kid that was putting on this show, came out from Cali to do it.
You know what's funny? At the time, like I didn't realize till afterwards that you were the only person promoting this. You're the only person putting it on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were just the Kevin out here rep, and I rolled with you. right? Because I don't know if you remember, like I was having super duper imposter syndrome, right? And I just kept on telling myself that this wasn't real. This wasn't real. Something's gonna happen. It wasn't gonna happen, and it didn't get real. Because if you remember, Alfred had called a bus to my house or whatever, and Alfred was super young at the time. He wouldn't even. He was. Oh yeah, he might have been. Yeah, about the same age, right? So he might have been 19, 20 years old. Well, yeah, whatever, 21, 22 years old. So he had called a bus to my house, and you met us at the crib like early in the morning. And until we got into your mom's Lexus, the red Lexus, that's when I realized, okay, this is really happening. And if you remember, we going down 12, and it's early in the morning, and Justin out here just skirting. But we got pulled over. I know we got pulled over. And I was scared, because look, the difference between a white dude driving and a black dude driving, that's what I learned. Because you weren't even tripping. You was like, man, we getting pulled over. You were like, I was like, oh, what you doing, man? I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah, that was funny. But I remember, but yeah, like I said, I didn't really realize, because I was in the swing of booking all the shows for this whole city of Baton Rouge, and I'm thinking like, well, Dad, I could have helped you. Well, I didn't have the connections out of state like I did now, but in hindsight, it was better that I was just an artist, because I remember some of the shenanigans that took place after the show. You know what I'm saying? That's when I realized, like, oh, okay, this is real. So, do you remember? So, Cannibal Ox, and we'll talk about Cannibal Ox in a second. But Cannibal Ox ended up being like the headliner. Do you remember the other? Do you remember the other two headliners you tried to get?
Yeah, it was gonna be Showbiz and AG.
And there was another one too, if you remember, because you asked me to help you.
Who was the other one?
Crooked Letters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because you told me to talk to Kamikaze.
Yeah, okay. I forgot that we were trying that. Yeah. So I think what happened was, okay, yeah. So at this time there was another guy working at KN, and he was like, he was so like sure that he was going to get this. He could help, like he would be able to help. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. And then as we get progressively close, like he keeps failing, he keeps bailing, he keeps
big cap.
Yeah, lots of cap with this guy. And so finally we're at the end, and it's like, and A3C is like, okay, we can help you get Cannibal Ox. So we get Cannibal Ox, which is amazing. It was like they had
their first time together back in 10 years, right?
Right. They hadn't performed together in forever. And like, obviously this is still a time where like the Cold Vein is still, highly respected and revered, obviously because LP produced it. And so I remember, we had this, so the deal was like, we were going to pay half and half, basically. Like we'd be responsible for half and A3C would cover the rest. And so this, when we originally were going for show and so that didn't happen. And so we're like, me never having doing anything, I'm like, oh, A3C's offering me this, Cannibal Ox, like, okay, they're handling it. Well, little did I know that the A3C's not handling anything. And they're like, go deal with him, go deal with him. And so I'm looking at it like, oh shit, this is on me. And so unfortunately, the guy capping sent me back some money, and I had to literally PayPal Cannibal Ox to make sure.
I remember because okay, man, I'm trying to be gentle here. Well, one of the guys, I don't know much about Cannibal Ox, so forgive me if I missed. I don't remember their names, but the Slim guy.
That was Virgil Mega.
Okay, the Slim guy was recovering. He had some substance abuse issues, recovering, and you could tell he hadn't rapped in a while. He remembered his raps, but you could tell he was someone who had some lingering effects of defeating an addiction. So I remember you talking. First of all, let me say this: I had the best show of my life. I got offered like 2 record deals that night. I had the best set of the night. Myself, Alfred Banks, Truth Universal, D. Risha, Killer Collion was supposed to be on, but he didn't show up. Locksmith, Greasy Greg, Cannibal Ox. I'm sure some other people I forgot, but that night was epic for me. And I did my show. I cried on stage, and I got whopped afterwards. You know what I'm saying? But what was sobering was watching you have to talk to the guys from Cannibal Locks about their money. So the guy, so Buddy who Virgil Mega, he was kind of all over the place. And his partner was bigger than me.
Yeah, Vastire.
Yeah, Vastire was bigger than me. And so I'm looking at it like, man, hold up. Man, they asking Juice about this money. You know what I'm saying? And like, I could tell like you didn't know what was going on. I had the money to help you, but I'm just like, man, he looked like he's in a untenable situation here. You know what I'm saying? And then when I knew it was real, when you was like, well, look, what's your PayPal? I'm gonna PayPal it yourself. I'm like, oh, he really was a promoter for the show. You know what I'm saying? So like that was epic, man. And then I want to say the next night, so the next day, you know, so we going to the different panels, and this is when I knew it was real too, Juice. When Ninth Wonder came up to you, knew who you was. I'm fanboyed out. And like all these dudes, he was like Justin Ivey, you know, Kevin. Oh, I know that. I'm like, oh, this dude's the truth here. You know what I'm saying? Like all the dudes who I admire, you know what I'm saying? I remember we went to the showcase with Pharaoh Monch and was it Sheik Luch and Ghostface.
Yeah.
And that dude almost got snuffed on stage for pretending he knew the words to protect your neck. And like that bro, we had a wild hip hop weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like that was super duper epic, man. That was super duper epic. Would you ever, I mean, I know circumstances are different now, but like with your connections, you know what I'm saying? You have way more connections than you did 2013. Would you ever consider like trying to put together like a festival for Baton Rouge or something like that?
I'd have to get other people involved. Like I wouldn't want to be being purely on my back. But
brother, you
yeah,
never do that. We gonna talk after because
yeah, but yeah, I mean it's always been. I mean, as crazy as it was, is like obviously like I know way more now. I'm I'm not like just a kid basically trying to like wing it, and so I'd be definitely into it in that aspect. It's just like yeah, I mean it would be dope to do something like that for Baton Rouge.
And for what it's worth, the show went on without a hitch, right?
Oh yeah,
it was just confused. Yeah,
oh yeah, the show was great. The show was great.
Well, Fort Knox was the host.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, look, I'm a big dude, bro. I don't be scared of a whole bunch of cats. Like, we was outside in front of the venue, and you like, y'all, on Outcast equipment now, the who wanna fuck with Hollywood Cole. This dude was walking up the street like Hollywood Cole. He walking up the street about 10 feet away. Heavy. And Justin was like, you gonna love this dude. I'm like, what you mean? What's going on? Heavy. This dude slapped me down, bro. He almost broke my wrist. He slapped me down so hard, bro. So big shout out to Fort Knox, bro.
Fort Knox has the hardest dap in
bro. I'm talking about, man. He got like the hand. His dap is like the Thor hammer, bro. Like yeah, that whole it's like everything about that weekend was super duper epic. Like it wasn't nothing light about that weekend at all. Every single night we went on an adventure after adventure after adventure. I tortured Alfred with some terrible music from a rapper who I'm not going to say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I remember I got so wasted the night before we left. I didn't eat nothing the whole way back because I linked up with my guys from the Redland, and I got super duper duper smacked. And Alfred would look at me like he was just so disappointed in me. Cause I was just remember all I did was puke. All I did was puke and drink. I had a whole. We went to the store, so I don't want nothing to eat. Just give me a gallon of water. And Alfred just looked at me like, "Hey." It was lit that weekend, bro. But let's move on a little bit, man. So after Kevin Nottingham folded, and I'm not going to say it, but this is for Kevin Nottingham.
Oh wait, honestly, you can get into it. I mean it. Like if you want to get into it at all.
Okay. Well, I didn't have that on my question, so like, okay. So was it 2009? It had to be. Was it 2019 or 20? I don't know. It's all starting to run together now because of the pandemic. It had to be 20, right?
I guess it was 19 because I think it happened before the pandemic.
Okay. Well, anyways, I don't really know how, right? First, so I met Kevin. Kevin offered me a deal to put out an album with Hypnot. And we talked and talked. I told this story a couple weeks ago on my social media. We talked and talked and talked, ended up not doing it. Because okay, so around that time, my trap hop EP, it premiered on KevinNottingham.com. And I did his stage. He told me I had the best set of the night. And he was super duper cool about it, right? I was trying to put out another album on Hypnot, and it didn't work out. But whatever I did put out, he did help me. He did some pre. I'm gonna make sure that you have the support of KevinNottingham.com. And he did that, right? So 2019, I don't really know what happened, but I kind of saw it unfold on his page. He got to talking that MAGA talk. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it was Marcel. He saw it. It was either Marcel. Yeah, it was Marcel. He saw him talking about it.
Yeah,
and he
Marcel
started questioning.
Yeah,
Marcel Williams, right.
From Detroit.
Got the same name as me, goddammit.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? So Marcel was kind of questioning him on the stuff, and he doubled down.
Mm-hmm.
He doubled down. Like, it wasn't like some, so, and I watched Kevin Nottingham get ran up out of hip hop. Like, I saw I watched in real time a person who everybody was cool with. He did good business. He was fair. He was kind. He was really ahead and part of the culture. I don't really know what happened. I do remember at one point. Well, I'm out here right now. I don't really care. I remember at one point he was married to a black woman, got a black child. I remember that he was creeping on the side with somebody else, and I'm saying this because it's public. Because he was on Facebook.
Public.
He was on Facebook begging his side chick to come back to him. You know what I'm saying? It was all public. So maybe, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with the black woman. I don't know if it turned him into a Trump supporter. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm saying this because he was begging for his side chick to come back to him on Facebook, like an episode of Love and Hip Hop or something. You know what I'm saying? Like Peter Guns or something, right? But my dog got with that Trump support. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I saw everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like Frank William Miller Jr., William Ketchum, Marcel, Von P. No, not Von P. Don Will. And then so it started on the dragon started on Facebook. Then it came to Twitter. Ooh. And I'm not a fan. If I'm not mistaken, I think I told you about it on Facebook before it got to Twitter. So I was like, yo, are you seeing what's going on? And boom. So what's your take on the situation?
Well, it was very weird for me because, I mean, obviously it was a letdown because it's like, crap, like, really? Like, you're going down this path? But it was odd too, because like for many years I had kind of like just out of loyalty for Kevin giving me my start and for giving me the platform and everything, I had just kind of kept quiet about how the dynamics of that site worked. And so there was a part of me that, like, when he self-imploded, it was like, oh, well, you know what? It's cool that I can just empty the clip a little bit and just be like, okay, this is how the site actually ran. And like everybody that was giving him DAP in those particularly in the later years, you were actually talking to me. You were like actually appreciating me. And so that was somewhat like getting getting something off my chest in a way, because that was something I actually like argued with them about at times. It's like I wanted the site to be changed to "This is hip hop," and so because I was just like, it's not just you. Like we have like a whole team sharing opinions, and it's like it all looks like it's coming from you. And he never liked it. He never wanted to to change that. But yeah, I mean, it was wild because the last few years of like I talked about in that A3C showcase, like he just didn't want to do it that year, so I did it. And the last few years that the site existed, it was because I wanted to post so much. Like I wanted to carry it on my back.
Because by that time he had really moved on to Hip Knot. Hip Knot was doing pretty well. Yeah.
Hip Knot had come around, and so that was his focus. It was like he liked that Kevin Nottingham, the site, existed because it was his presence. You know what I mean? But it was like he didn't want to do anything besides, you know, keep it alive. Like he didn't want to, you know, post or anything like that. So it was just like I was posting constantly and I was writing constantly, and it was like, when the breaking point was when it was just like, bro, I got like a career with money to make writing. Like I can't do this anymore. And so it's just like, that was why the site stopped. It wasn't because Kevin said, "Oh, we're stopping." It was me. I had got burnt out of just having to do it all myself. It was like, I need compensation. I need real compensation, or I gotta go. And that was how it ended. And
so did you? Sorry to cut you off. Did you ever? Yeah. So were you surprised by the racist Trump supporter stuff? Were you surprised by that?
Oh, definitely surprised. Like,
right.
I'll never pretend like me and Kevin were super tight or anything. Like he wasn't somebody like I'm calling on the weekend and saying and catching up and whatever. But we were always cool. We were always like, every conversation we had was always pleasant. Every interaction we had was great. It was like, you know, I never could suspect anything like that. But it was also like, I don't know, it was a little reminder. It's like, okay, well, you know what? You don't know everybody that well. It's like, you know, because I would have, for every year before that, like I would have vouched for Kevin, you know,
right,
without a blink of my eye, you know. And it was like, but that was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. Sometimes you don't.
I wonder if that's who he was the whole time, or I wonder because okay, it's another. Remember, I told you about this guy. It's another. I don't know the guy as well, and I really don't think the guy was wrapped too tight in the first place. But it was a guy who I met in New Hampshire, who was, you know, literally, it went from him, you know, being in the crowd saying F Donald Trump with me, to getting mad because I didn't want to support a pro-Trump song that he made, right? And when I started talking to some people that we know, they said that he had got real deep into the QAnon stuff, and he kind of had a mental break or whatever. So, things like, a part of me, like I said, I have no reason to defend him, but my racist radar is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And I can honestly say, every conversation we had was cool. When I met him in Atlanta, he was super duper cool. He approached me about doing the deal, knowing the music that I did. He supported my music. He gave me advice. When we didn't get the deal done, he was still cool after that. So I wonder, like I said, I wonder if something happened in his life that made him kind of go that way, or did this who he was the whole time, or I don't know. That's a mystery. And he didn't, I don't know if he didn't like niggas before, but he don't like us no more, because he probably can't listen to rap no more. He got, like, I've never seen somebody like Kevin Nottingham might be the first ever on record successful canceling I've ever seen on the internet. Like, like it's still people who will defend R. Kelly, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's going to vouch. Like, Kevin Nottingham will never be able to get back into hip hop again. Period. He got canceled. He out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was Jazzy Jeff getting thrown out the house.
Yes, and not coming back in. He ain't coming back to date Hillary. You're not dating Hillary, brother. It's over for you. You know what I'm saying? So this make me move some questions around here. Okay, so with that said, it's like, you're a writer, white guy from the South, you know what I'm saying? And you cover a Black culture. I always say, you know, I don't think we have enough Black writers. I don't think we have enough Black label owners. Like, so I always tell my friends, like, when we talk about hip hop, underground hip hop labels from the South, first of all, like, okay, let me say this again. When it comes to Black underground hip hop labels, you don't really have that many, right? So you got not Stones Throw, Strange Music, You got Jamla, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of like labels that are like similar to like your Stones Throw or your Duck Downs or your Mellow Music Group, you don't really have any black ones, right? Now, what's the name did correct me? What's the name did correct me? Elijah correct me. He was like, technically, rhyme sayers, because you know what I'm saying, Sadiq is definitely black and Slug is biracial, but man, don't nobody consider that no black record label. You just don't. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what even they cater to at all. But um, but I think, and of course there's everybody has an LLC, there's other little crews and labels and things of that nature, but you don't really see in underground hip hop, you don't really see, you know, the boom bappers of the boom bap. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see as many black people covering the culture or like doing, you know, black kids want to grow up to be artists. They want to be rappers. They want to be superstars. Nobody says I want to grow up to be a journalist. I'm not saying nobody, but for the most part, nobody's thinking I want to grow up to be a journalist. So, as a white guy participating in the black culture, who I can definitely vouch for, what do you think about the phrase "white people are guests in hip hop"?
Hmm. I've always felt odd about it, you know? It's because it's like, you know, I certainly don't, I certainly understand the stance, but it's like, if you're someone like me and you're just like all in on it, it's like, it feels weird to be like told, okay, but you're like, you're a guest, and, you know, and I also just think about hip hop's origins and just how mixed it was, you know, and it's like, I don't know, how do you create that dividing line of, you know, guests, but at the same time, I completely understand like the need to be protective, because it's like, you know, we see it, we see so much of it, we see the you know, the culture vulture stuff. It's like that's a real thing, it's happening constantly. And so it's like, I never get like mad, I never get upset on that stance, but I don't necessarily agree with it, because I feel like I'd be like questioning my own identity in a way if I agreed with it, because I'd be like, oh, I just devoted myself to something I'm never whole of.
I I feel a couple different ways about this. So for one, you know, this whole guest in hip hop thing really got coined by Lord Jamar.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with the only time I've ever agreed with Lord Jamar is when he called out Umar Johnson. And it pained me to do that, right? Like, but he says it, and the reason for him saying it is just player hating shit. You know what I'm saying? But it was weird that when he was mostly talking about Eminem, but it was weird when Eminem was like, "Yeah, he's right." I was like, "Okay, that's something that wasn't on my bingo card." Um, I think people like Lord Jamar and a lot of people feel that way because of people like Kevin Nottingham,
Mm-hmm.
because of people like Post Malone or Lil Dicky, or well, I think Lil Dicky's talented, but I mean, but I don't, you know, but I understand what it is. You know what I'm saying? Um, as a militant Pan African Black conscious rapper, even myself, I feel I you will never hear me. I acknowledge that hip hop is an extension of 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 a black cultural art form that was brought to the Western Hemisphere by enslaved Africans. Part of it is an extension of, you know, the first type of American music, true American music that was born in the United States was gospel music. And I also acknowledge it as a tradition from the African oral tradition in art form, cultural art form that came to the Western Hemisphere via Puerto Rico and Jamaica. But these were, so, you know, yes, they were Puerto Ricans, but they was Africans too. You know what I'm saying? Like they just light skinned to speak Spanish. They speak another European language, right? But even with that said, Juice, I can't look you in the eye and say white people against the hip hop. And I'm gonna say this because I travel the country. When we talk about the art form, when we talk about the culture, when we talk about the four elements, Unfortunately, I don't see myself as the fan base, the curators, and the participators in the culture. You go to the hoods, they don't give a fuck about DJing, turntablism. They don't care about breakdancing. They don't care about tagging and graffiti. You go to the DMCs, the crowd is not black for the most part. Even as an underground conscious rapper, I rap in front of, in a year's time, if I do 75 shows, maybe 7 of them will have majority black audience, and that's because I went to Jackson twice. I went to Memphis 3 times. You know what I'm saying? When I go and see people breakdancing, I see. I did a show in Chicago in 2018, and it was a radio station, and they were doing a benefit for Breakdancing Academy. And so they had all these different rappers and breakers from all over the city to come through. It was one of the most amazing hip hop nights of my life. And there might have been 10 black B-boys in there, but the majority of the B-boys and girls were Asian. They were Latinx. There was cats in there from Australia, cats in there from like Persia, Iran, Iraq, or whatever. So when for the most part, when black people engage hip hop, engage rap, it's the street stuff. And the onus is on more of the lifestyle that comes along with being a superstar than actual the elements of the culture. And so I'm gonna say this, and this might come back to bite me, but as the way black people maneuver right now, black people could not hold up hip hop culture alone. And a lot of that is because black people don't own hip hop culture from an industrial standpoint. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it sucks when you get a cat like Kevin, who you thought was down with us. You know what I'm saying? Thank God he ain't mess up with nobody contracts, because that'd have been a different type of, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you racist and you didn't pay this man his money. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Shit, you better call Proud Boys for security, because you gonna have some dudes, you know what I'm saying, knocking on your front door. So I mean, I don't know. So for me, it's an interesting situation that I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine from Houston, and he was saying how like conscious rappers aren't connected to the hood enough. He was like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all do these shows in neighborhoods that's not in the hood, they downtown, they're not in the black community, and you expect the hood to come over to the show. He was like, y'all got to do it. He was like, the neighborhood hero is always gonna be able to get the crowd to come out, because he's going to do a show in the neighborhood that he lives in. But they're not going to go across town. Like, people aren't going to, I don't know. So for me, and I asked him, I was just like, well, what do I got to do to get this out of town into what I'm doing? Because I make black ass music for black ass people, but I rarely get to rap in front of black people, right? So that's a conundrum. And so I guess, I mean, to me giving my side of the situation, that's the reason why I can't say that, man. And it sucks that it's like that. And for me, I look at it like this, man. Hip hop is all about cultural intentions. What are you trying to do with the culture? Are you trying to, I mean, for me, if you're a white dude, if you're not black in hip hop, as long as you show love and respect for black folks, speak up when it's time for you to speak up, shut the hell up when you don't know what you're talking about, and assist where you can assist, we ride. I don't care. like you from a your pen, you know what I'm saying? And Matt with his microphone have probably next to Donnie done the most for my career as an artist in Baton Rouge. And I hang with y'all, and I know you guys' intentions, right? So, I mean, if you a guest, you always welcome with me. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right. Speaking of,
I will say, like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will say, like, on that though, it's like, to me, one of the important things, like being a white person in hip hop, is just like never being offended or like on that check. Like you should always be like willing to, you know, kind of be like somebody be like, hey, like, you know, what are your intentions here, kind of thing. Like you got to be cool with that. Like it's just like that's part of it. Like don't be, you can't just sit there and be offended. Like, well, my resume, you know, like you're walking around like like you got like, hey, like if somebody's like has an off feeling about you, like that, like go ahead and talk with them. Like you know, let them know what you're about.
It's the culture for me. You know what I mean? So like, you know, I live by the culture of everyday mantra, man. So you're right. Like as long as you respecting the culture and you listening and like, because people ask me all the time, bro. This is like, how do white people feel when you get up here and you say crackers or you say the enemy is white supremacy, blah 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 blah. They not, as long as they not, you know, they ain't doing cracker shit and they not being white supremacists, it's all good. They got their middle fingers up too. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I say this as a person who goes all across the country and raps his black ass raps in front of all white crowds in Indiana, in New Hampshire, in Maine, in, you know what I'm saying, Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? I'll be by myself. If I get on the plane, Mark ain't with me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm by myself. And I ain't never had no problems because I'm tapped into people who love the culture. And that's what it's about for me. And because it's a lot of black people who don't love the culture and they just in it for their own selfish gain. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's a crazy situation. Okay. Let's go look at this. Hold up. Let's look at this.
Hold up.
2017, February 28th or something like that. In February 2017. You dropped the 12 rappers, the new, the 12 Baton Rouge rappers you should know. If the people are looking, that is me. Oh, wait, what's going on? Okay, that's me right there. Next to White Beezy, next to Spitter. You know what I'm saying? Your boy. The byline is, where's his name at?
There it is.
By Justin Ivey. Come on, what's going on? Okay. By Justin Ivey. You know what I mean? People are looking. Your boy, the first person on there. Now I'm gonna tell you about you, Juice, and it's aggravatingly, but I respect it. And Kevin Nottingham, anything I sent you, you gonna post it. When you went to the Boombox, when you went to whatever other hip hop site, especially when you got the double XL, you weren't giving black no love unless I earned it. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people don't understand that, right? And so when I made this list, even though we're good friends, we've you know, we've made trips out of town and, you know, several late nights at Louis with crazy memories. When I made this list, it meant something to me because I know your pedigree as a journalist. I know your cultural and professional integrity, and you're just not. This is some shit that you just wouldn't do for a favor. I had to earn this, right? So, what were you thinking? Like, what was the process of even getting Baton Rouge artists recognized? You know what I'm saying, on a particular platform. So, like, what was the process to go through it, and what do you think about the reactions that came after it? You know, it dropped.
So yeah, so I started writing for Double XL just freelancing, and you know, I think I had done you know, like some reviews and maybe a Zero interview, and yeah, Dan Reese, who was the editor, one of the editors at the time, was just like, I want to bring you in. You know, would you want to do news? And I was like, oh, you know, yeah, jumped on it. You know, obviously with you know Double XL and what it's meant. So I was just doing news and things, covering news, and they had this section. They were doing these pieces where it was like the new, and they were spotlighting cities and things like that. And I don't remember the exact like pitch or whatever it was, but it was just, it came up that, you know, Baton Rouge was of interest, you know, maybe, maybe like Kevin Gates was maybe kind of really had blown up maybe about that time, nationally in terms of like a major label star. And so like Baton Rouge was of interest. And me being from Baton Rouge, they're like, well, you got to do it. So, and I was like, well, hell yeah. Like, I'm okay. I'm jumping on this opportunity. So from there, it was just like, obviously I just follow Baton Rouge closely. I mean, it's the hometown. I've always just, so I wanted to, I remember there was like a talk. It was like, do you want to do 10 artists? Do you want to do 50? And so for whatever reason, it landed on 12. And so my mindset was just like, okay, I want to accurately represent the city. Cause like, if you looked at any Baton Rouge list or, people talking about Baton Rouge outside of Louisiana, it was always going to be the same artists just come up. It's just like, they only know Trill Entertainment and guys that sound like Trill Entertainment and things like, and I was like, man, there's this whole other side of the city. So I want to accurately represent it. I want to have the alt indie conscious side, and I want to have the street side. Like, I want them to both be well represented. And so it was just kind of, I had like a list of 20 people that I finally got it down to. And it was just, and yeah, it was like a few nights of like, oh man, who do I cut? Who do I put on? Like, it was, but yeah, it was, at the end of the day, it was all on me. And I ultimately got to the list that it finished with, and I was happy with it. I think obviously if you can go back a year later and do it different, and obviously all these years later, almost 5 years later, is like, there's some people that I wouldn't put on there because they kind of just flamed out, or they stopped releasing stuff, or they got incarcerated. And so
or got killed. Shit.
Yeah. And so it's like, but
rest in peace, G Money, man.
But like the list for what it was at the time, and like still to this day, like I mean, I think I'm still proud of like what it was, and I think it turned out to be pretty accurate. Like, you're looking at some of them right now, it's like, man, Quadri's killing it. Tech, main music's had legal trouble, but Tech's been amazing. Yourself, Caleb Brown's like really blown up. Like, G was on the rise, until his passing, sadly. But man, it's like, yeah, I'm proud of the list, and man, I know it pissed some people off, but yeah, my mindset was always just like, man, I'm getting an opportunity to put a shine on Baton Rouge. I'm gonna take it. Like, that's the ultimate goal, is if I get to shine a light on the home team.
Man, unfortunately, I did get a lot. I first of all, thank you. Bob, I'm sure I've told you thank you before, but I'm saying thank you again publicly, because this in my press kit definitely helped me break into new markets, and the baggeth when it's up it. What I'm saying, in certain capacities. So this is one of the best things in my press kit. So a lot of good came from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, every year somebody drops a rap list and everybody gets mad. You know what I'm saying? But these are the ones that matter. Like, whatever Joe Schmo says on his Facebook profile doesn't really matter. These are the ones that matter. With that said, I got a lot of hate. You know what I'm saying? Your boy B Don, who I had a Facebook, the Word of South beef, chat room beef with in like 2007, came out the woodworks. He tagged me in the post. So I'm like, man, this dude's still living. Like, whatever. Like, whatever. Rappers, a lot of it was some rappers who I was cool with, came out their mouth talking a little crazy. One rapper I'm a really big fan of swore up and down that you wasn't really working for Double XL. You was just somebody from Baton Rouge who tried to put his homeboys on. You know what I'm talking about, whatever. But we spoke since then, but I didn't really care for that. When he went on whatever show he was and said that or whatever. But I think what people miss that, and I think you said it yourself, what a lot of people miss that, y'all motherfuckers should just be happy somebody's covering Baton Rouge at all of this level. And a lot, with us being friends, a lot of people gave me the side eye, like, oh, that's your homeboy, he's looking out for you. But they don't know your pedigree, and they don't know my pedigree either, outside of me hosting Fade to Flow. A lot of people ask me, I mean, you spoke to it earlier, like, well, what criteria was he going on? And I kept on trying to explain to people. I was like, yes, Justin lives here, but Justin is one of the most connected hip hop people in the city, around the country. So he's looking at, even though he lives in Baton Rouge and his feet's on the ground in terms of like what's hot in the streets, he's still looking at this from a like a national perspective. So like, I know half of the rappers that, from the quote unquote hip hop side, the underground side, you saw this guy perform live at Fade to Flow or one of my shows or one of the band or something like that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. That was people still get mad when I talk about it. I don't care. I did it. You know what I'm saying? But that was huge. That was huge for the city. That was huge for the moment. I remember when you did this, it made other people get mad because they see this and like, see, that's why Jackson ain't never gonna have nothing. Ain't nobody ever coming to Jackson. They'll be like, bro, like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And while I'm up here too, man, I just want to show, like I said, Justice consistently been covering me. I don't know really, honestly, I don't really know how many times that you've interviewed me at this point, and I don't even know all the publications. But here's something for when Cry Freedom dropped. You know what I'm saying? And I think we got either one or two with the Advocate. You know what I'm saying? You cover Cry Freedom and interviews, and didn't we do one with Dig too?
I believe so.
Yeah. So the Juice Man be showing me love, bro. And of course I'm talking about me, but I mean there's countless of Baton Rouge hip hop artists that he's definitely shown love to. So next we about to wrap it up here in a second. Hip Hop DX. So I'm getting ready to come out with Black Messiah, and I text you and I say, Juice, can I get it? So first, when you was with Hip Hop DX, you was loving it. You covering everybody. I'm looking up. I know you getting to interview the Wu-Tang cats and things of that nature, and you having the time of your life. And you showing me big love over there. What's the name was over there showing me love? Euro was over there showing me love at a point. Kylie Eustace was showing me love at one point. And then it came to a point where he was like, look, I can't just post everything you send me. You got to stagger these out a little bit. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn, I got about 4 Hip Hop DX posts a year, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And then I want to say when I was getting ready for the rollout for Black Messiah might have been I don't remember, but yeah, Black Messiah might have been the last thing that you was able to post over at DX. It might have been Angry Black Rap. So I'm like, y'all want to promote this on DX. And you was like, not a chance. I'm like, damn. You was like, not a chance. I'm like, oh, okay. And you were saying how like it got to the point to where, you was not seeing eye to eye with the direction things were going. So last year you announced your departure from Hip Hop DX, and some might argue that this is your highest profile gig to date. What was you writing at Hip Hop DX like, and what went so far left that made you want to walk away from it?
Oh man, starting at DX was like kind of a dream come true, because like for me, the era where Andreas Hale was the editor, and like that was sort of like that era of DX was kind of like the source, my ego trip. The way people think about that is like that was what DX was for me. So it was like that was a bucket list for me in terms of like getting to DX. I got the opportunity from I at Double XL, and I literally went right there. I they were like, "Do you want to come?" I got the offer from the then editor in chief, the editor in chief, and he was and went over there, and man, it was off to the races. It was like I was doing everything I wanted. I got to write about like so much stuff that I enjoyed. As at each progressive year is like you get a little more a dose of the system, I guess, and a little more overbearing reach of the boss. And I had heard some of the horror stories before, and it was just like, I guess I had kind of had been able to create some like distance between myself, and so I allowed myself to kind of roll with the punches a little bit. But after Warner Music Group acquired DX, that was started to get to the breaking point where it was like this was presented as a great opportunity, and what I saw was us getting more restrictive and the boss getting more overbearing and more overreaching. And it was just very those chances to cover the culture, the chances to cover the good stuff, the stuff that kept me going, were getting fewer and far between. And I just kind of reached my breaking point in November. It was just like, nah, I can't do this anymore. I'm fed up with it. And so I said, you know what? I got to move on.
And I remember you kind of told me before, and I was like, man, and I remember us talking via text, just kind of venting about the situation, and like I knew it hurt, man, because like you got to interview like who okay, so while you were at DX, give me your top 5 interviews you was able to do.
Oh wow, top 5.
No order, just give me your top 5.
Yeah, Raekwon definitely in the top 5, just because, like, man, that's somebody I wanted to talk to my whole life. So yeah, I think I gotta throw RZA in there just because bucket list, but it was like I'm still a little mad because it was like the publicist had us on like a short leash time wise. So I was like, I wanted to go super deep, and I only had like 20 minutes to talk to him. And let's see, Evidence. That I mean, that's one of my favorite interviews that I've like ever done. Really, Evidence. I say maybe like Benny the Butcher or Conway. Definitely, man, I really enjoyed talking to them. And I'll go with Rock Marciano. Rock Marciano was a great conversation too.
I really hate this headline, man. The song is not even called that. I don't like. And then I was really mad that it was the Asian chick who did it. Like, really, I didn't like the headline. I digress.
Yeah, that was the person running the singles section at that time, or the video section. So unfortunately, I did not have much say.
Yeah, that's not a that I ain't gonna charge you with that one, but I hate the headline. Yeah, he posted me up until was it? Okay, yeah, okay. So you saw, so the last one was the actual album release thing, whatever. So that was October 2019. After that, you was like, it ain't gonna happen, thug. But all is well, man. I mean, so moved off DX in November. Now you just announced your new podcast, Never Less Than Ill. So my question to you is, you want to know about the podcast, and why did you choose to come back? Well, I mean, you never left the culture, but why did you choose to come back and present yourself on camera behind the microphone as opposed to with the
pen? So yeah, I'll do the second part first. For me, it was just the opportunity to do something a little different. I didn't, like I mentioned, like my start was KLSU on radio, and it was like I had so focused my life on writing that it was I never really explored that aspect of being a host, being behind a mic. And so I like the idea of jumping into that. Obviously podcast medium is booming, and I just thought, hey, maybe this is a way to get my, present myself a little different. Obviously writing mode, it's always about who I'm writing about. I was never like a first person type of writer. And so, it was just, it was a way to, I think, kind of get myself out there a little more. And it just lucked into that opportunity of, good timing, good meeting, good people again. It was like, Lynn from Bros Who Think had interviewed me, years ago, and obviously we stayed in touch, and then, we interviewed again, and he was like, man, what if you did a show? And it was like, yeah, like what, yeah, I like that. And so we just got to talking, and the more we discussed it, it was like just the creative freedom I was going to have and the vision to do it. It just made sense. And I don't think, other than somebody like Matt, is like, I don't think I would have done it with anybody else, because it was like Lynn was just the perfect person, to bounce off and just be open to what I wanted to do. In terms of what Never Less Than Ill is, man, this is kind of me going back to my roots. It's like, one of the problems of like DX in that news grind was just covering so much, garbage. It's just, and I don't mean garbage like, oh, these people are bad musicians. I mean, just the nonsense, like people arguing on Instagram and tax, tax foreclosures and all kind of things, silly things like that. Like, no, that's not what I wanted to talk about when I got into covering hip hop. Like, this is what and so this podcast is going to be focusing on artists, specific artists, sometimes scenes, sometimes eras, and just kind of going deep into them and kind of showing appreciation to people that don't get covered all the time. I kind of like jokingly say that, hey, this isn't going to be the show for the Jay-Z, Tupac, Drake, Megan Thee Stallion hot take hour. Like, that's not it. You can go on Twitter every day and do that with, thousands of people. This is going to be talking about artists that aren't constantly on your mind, but that are huge and important to the culture. And I'm really excited about it. And the first episode is going to be covering Little Brother. And
yes, I'm sorry, my bad.
All good. I thought Little Brother would be the perfect way to start it. So yeah, I hope
yes. That's my man. Sorry.
Yeah,
excuse my fandom. My bad.
And yeah, and you'll check it. You'll see it on my social media too. But I think I got a really, really exciting guest for to talk Little Brother. So we'll see it soon.
Bro, so you already know, bro. I'm supporting any and everything you do. I don't like blogs is dead, websites is dead, really, because pretty much our websites is reporting what happens on social media. You know what I'm saying? And so the only way I would like you and Matt are the only way I check new music. You know what I'm saying? Online. A lot of my stuff comes from like when I'm on the road, there's stuff that comes across my feed. But as far as like going to Matt's gonna play it on the radio show, and you would post about it, and that's how I would know. Like if Jews say they busting, then I'm gonna check it out because I trust your ear. And so I'm really, really excited that you came back to the game like this. I remember, so I don't know if you remember, I got to mess with you. You hit me with a drive-by slang a couple of years ago when I first started getting into podcasting. And I was like, damn, bro, you said, oh my bad, I wasn't talking about you. You remember that?
Honestly,
no. It was on Twitter. You was like, hey, check out my new podcast. Is the new something? You know what I'm saying? This is right when. Cause bro, what's so funny about it? I did my first podcast 2015. I always be ahead. I really be ahead of people. I really do. But you was like, check out my new podcast. Is the new such and such or whatever. And I'm like, damn, bro. You said, oh my bad, bro. I'm not talking about you. So I had to tease you a little bit when I look up. You know what I'm saying? And you up here, working with Lynn. Oh, first of all, well, not first of all, but big shout out to Lynn, man. Lynn did the best, I want to say, 100%. When I was doing my rollout and my promo for Search of the Black Messiah, Lynn did the best interview that I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? Like podcast interview I've ever done. Like he really, really listened to Search of the Black Messiah, and we went through all 14 songs, song for song, and I could tell that he really dissected them and listened to it. And I went to Lafayette. I went to his house. My pull-up game is crazy. Before the panty, my pull-up game was nuts. And at the time, I was a full-time artist, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I was living. So big shout out to Lynn Bros who think they have so much good podcasting on their network. Congratulations, man. So it's a beautiful thing that you guys are working together. Where can we find you? Well, I'm gonna take you to the page, but where can what website? What's the link that Never First the Ill gonna come out on? And where else do you want to direct them to if they want to find out about Justin Ivey?
Oh yeah. Right now, just check me out on Twitter and Instagram, Justin Ivey _. And as soon as the podcast officially launches on April 13th, and so as soon as it launches, we'll have all the info up for how you can subscribe. And but if you want to make sure you got it, you can go right now, Bros Who Thinks YouTube channel. It'll be on there, the video version, if you want to check that out. But yeah, we'll as soon as we launch on the 13th, I'll have all the stuff up for where you can get it on Apple and Spotify and Stitcher, wherever you're listening to your podcast.
Right, man. Like, yep. Here we go. All right, that's all I need. That's all I need to have. Who did that beat? That beat kind of nice. Who did
that? Track Sounds.
Okay.
I got Track Sounds is doing the intro, and that'll be part of that music will also be in the show. And also got my man D Lanham from Georgia. He did a beat for it as well.
That's what's up, man. Big props to you. Success on everything you're doing. I'm tapped in, I'm tuned in. Anything Justin Ivey is, anywhere I can help, anywhere I can support. Of course I want to be a guest. I'm not gonna be shy about that at all. I want to come. I'm about to drop an album too, and I want to come on there. I want the little brother treatment. Yeah, I'm joking. Well, I'm not joking. At all. But yeah, much love to you, brother. We got it. Hopefully, very soon we can go thug it, Louis. You know what I'm saying? Make sure we masked up and go do it for the culture. This is Marcel P. Black. This is the Really Outchea podcast with my guest Justin Ivey. Marcel P. Black. Hold on. MarcelPBlack.com. YouTube. Which way I got to turn? I got to go to this. My bad. YouTube. Marcel P. Black. Catch you again later. Allah Mahabe freedom.